it is, oh, excuse me, I was, it is uh, 22 degrees Leo at the moment, I think. I'm not really much of an astrologer. Okay, but anyway, it is Leo. And there is the T of the it that I was talking about yesterday. Anyway, yes, we've just entered, the sun has entered Leo, and we have a whole new universe, a whole new world, a whole new reality. But we do every second. Okay. But anyway, as I say, I'm not much of an astrologer. Early in my magical career, my brother, Mark, my late brother Mark, who wasn't late at the time, studied astrology, and I sort of depended on him for a few years for my astrological advice and counsel and stuff. But since then, I've met numerous wonderful, talented people. As a matter of fact, most anybody who's interested in magic and tarot and things like that is a far better astrologer than I. And over the years, I still am in contact with brilliant astrologers who are still out there. There's Annie Bones, the celestial calendar woman, or celestial almanac woman, and my good friend Rebecca Johnston is a fabulous astrologer, and Janet Barris in Chicago, who is probably who I turn to the most when I panic. And here locally, we've got Rose Lyon, who I share her astrological posts a lot. So please don't think that I'm a big super esoterically inclined astrologer, but you have to know a little bit about astrology if you're into hermetics and tarot and things like that. So this morning, earlier this morning, before I took my walk, I seldom read tarot cards for myself. And I knew that the sun entered Leo today, but I sort of shuffled my own cards after. Well, I got to tell you this, okay? I read tarot cards for people, and mostly over the telephone or Zoom or Skype or on Facebook, FaceTime Messenger. And before every counseling session, we'll call it, I do sort of a master shuffling of the cards myself, even before I talk to the client and we shuffle together. The cards have already been shuffled big time by me before we even meet. And what I do is I shuffle the deck a few times, and then I deal out the entire deck on 3, 4, 5, or 6. The caprice of the moment tells me stacks. And as I'm laying the cards out, I go, Ganesh, 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 Ganesha. and I lay the cards out in 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7 stacks to the tune of Pop Goes the Weasel. 4.5 rounds of Pop Goes the Weasel that gives me a full rosary chant of the god named Ganesha. Yeah, I know you're wondering about me. And then I reassemble the deck. That is my preparatory shuffle. And then people call, and then we discuss what their actual question is. And then we lay the cards out. But what I did this morning was I did my Ganesha chant, okay, to shuffle the deck. And then I simply found my own birthday card in the deck itself, which is the Queen of Cups. And I cut the deck there. And the bottom card of the deck, which is actually after doing all of that, the bottom card of the deck is actually, and I'm on the top of the deck, it was the Prince of Wands. Now the bottom of the deck, okay, and I'm on the top of the deck, see? Because that deck is a snake with its tail in its mouth, that card is directly behind me like the voice of my holy guardian angels. My question was, what am I to know about today? It wasn't, what do I tell people? It wasn't anything else. It was, what do I need to know today? Because as much as I read tarot cards for other people, I have to talk to them until we get to the point of where they're reading the cards for themselves. Because I can't do it for you. You're going to have to come to terms with what it is you want to know. And when you get to that point, the answer is screaming at you from all the directions. Tarot is just a very easy place for you to see that answer screaming at you. So, I didn't even intend to go through all of this today. That was my message for today. And what seems very interesting is it is the court card that represents the 30-degree period we're in right now. So what I needed to know was, oh, I think I'll talk about that today in my morning visit with you. So that being said, we've just entered Leo, the lust card. Now I've got something to say about Leo, and maybe I can find it right away. Here's what Crowley says in his Mnemonics. The lion serpent begets gods. Thy throne, the rampant beast, Our Lady Babylon. Now it's kind of funny because yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, we talked about it, because I always start off, it is first degree of Leo or something like that, being the two sides of the coin of the creative impulse. Crowley pared it down to symbolically as the hermit, the eye. The hermit's uh, uh, latent sperm, germ, that part of the creative force, married with the outer form, the tet, the serpent thing. So it is a wonderful, wonderful God name in itself. It's just like the creator, you know. So I took that as a sign to talk about that. And on a big wheel of the tarot, that would be this slice right there. See that? See the Leo slice? It's hard for me to do this backwards. Okay. The Leo slice. There we go. Okay. And there's the Prince of Wands. Okay. But the Prince of Wands isn't fully contained in Leo. Just 2/3 of it. The last little part there of Leo bleeds over to the Knight of Discs. Okay. Now see those numbers, those are small cards. And that'd be the 5, 6, and 7 of Wands is Leo. But the Prince of Wands is just the 4 of Cups, because the Cups last 30 degrees of Cancer, and 5, 6, and 7. So today is also the 5, see, the 5 of Wands. And there's the 10-degree period that it represents right there, July 22nd to August 1st. So we've got 2 things. Actually, we got 3 things, because this card lives inside this card. Now, these are difficult cards. Well, they can be difficult. All the cards are just horrible in one situation or another. But hardly anybody loves to see what the 5 of Wands when it shows up in a reading. But it's got such cool things going for it, and it's very, very, very strong and profound and serious. Okay, we won't even discuss the Goetic and Angels of the Shamhamferish. It's the 5 of Wands, Saturn in Leo. Now everybody goes, ooh, Saturn in Leo. Look, especially when you're coming around on your 3rd Saturn return, Saturn's a pretty cool thing. I mean, Saturn's your ultimate friend, actually. It's the center of your damn universe, okay? But it's also a 5. And the 5 is the Gebura on the Tree of Life, which gives it its, 3rd major Cabalistic factor in the equation that makes up the 5 of Wands. And that is off balance on the Tree of Life. That's Mars. Gebura, sometimes called Pakad, which is terror. It could be pretty rough. And if we're looking at this time period as represented by the cards, we've got a pretty damn sexy conflict going on. But we've got the strength to pull it through, to pull us through. The old title of this card was Strength. And Crowley aptly calls it lust because that's the kind of strength it is. So those two things can handle that, okay? Now, I'm going to put this up here because this is from a different deck. I went on and gave myself a DuQuette roll with your flow, roll with the flow, more lengthy reading of what I needed to know. And because it was what I needed to know and not particularly what you need to know, I'll only sort of briefly go over it. But the technique I use and the technique I've used for the last, 25, 26 years, it's a bit intuitive and organic, okay? It literally rolls with the flow of the question and the questioner's, when I do this for others, the questioner's unique and sometimes changing focus of inquiry. It starts off by looking like a classic 3-card spread, okay? What you see there on level 1, it's like a 3-card spread. And I put once I find the client or my own significator, I put it right up here, right in the center, and then I do 1, 2, 3 cards. And it just starts off by looking like that 3-card spread. And just if you're curious, that's my significator, and I put it right there at the top of my thing. And then reading from left to right, I drew the Fool, the Knight of Wands. That's an explosive card there. That's Fire of Fire. And the Emperor. I no longer look that good with my shirt off, okay? Those were those 3, okay? The Fool, the Knight of Wands, and the Emperor. Now, when I read for other people, and when I read for myself, very often that tells me everything I want to know, everything I need to know. I go, oh God, yeah, all right. Because when you actually know and are secure with the question itself, almost anything you see, when you're prepared to see the answer, will show you the answer. Now, the Fool and the Emperor sort of made sense to me, okay? But the Knight of Wands, okay, I looked at the date. I know a couple Knights of Wands in my life. You know, the I Ching hexagram of the arousing, the shock. Yeah, that sort of makes sense. But I sort of had a feel for the destiny-ish type of answer that I got with the first and the third card, okay? But the Knight of Wands still intrigued me. So what I did is I moved to level 2. And in this example, I had, 2 cards that I wanted more information on. But for this one, I only wanted more information on 2. So I drew 2 more cards to give me more insight on what this Knight of Wands is. Now, I've got to point out that the lower you go in getting more clarity, you may get more detail concerning your inquiry, but you're moving away from the big overriding truth of the situation. And the more likely you are to misinterpret the meaning. Does that make sense? Because once you start, it'll give you the truth, but it'll give you the truth on the little micromanagement aspects of it. Okay. And you may interpret those micro truths to the big overriding message that you're supposed to be getting and that you probably got in level 1. But if you're still curious, draw 2 more cards. That's our 2A and 2B. Okay. So what I did, okay, and remember, I want more insight on my Knight of Wands. I've got here, more insights on this guy. I got the Prince of Discs. I said, what the fuck is that about? Okay. And the Sun. Okay. Now, the Prince of Discs and the Sun. Literally, what the heck does that mean? Now, I've got the Emperor over here as part of my level 1. And the Prince of Discs is at least partially is Aries, okay, 20 degrees Aries, the last 10 degrees of Aries, and going into the 20th degree of, in other words, there's a link between that and Aries, and then the Sun shining on that, which is pointing to me let's see, I'll put that Knight of this there, put this here, put this here. Calls my attention back to the events that were occurring in mid-April through mid-May, okay, when the Sun was there. Now, not everybody would take that as a personal thing, but remember, we are in level 2, which are those micro specific messages there. Now, the Sun I get. I still don't get the Prince of Discs, so I boldly go to level 3. And under that Prince of Discs, I draw 2 more cards. And much to my great disappointment and freak out, I've got the 7 of Discs. Now, look at this. 7 of Discs is success unfulfilled. But remember, this is a comment on this card. And look at the date. Between these 2 cards, it represents 40 consecutive degrees in the zodiac, going all the way from April 11th consecutively through May 20th. This card right here lives in this card right there. Now, what does it mean? It doesn't look good, but it certainly points to events that were occurring to my life in that particular time period. And it skips 10 degrees and goes right into that. That's my comment. That's my 3rd level comment on the Prince of Discs. which was a comment on my Knight of Wands. Thank God this was for demonstration only, but that's Lon's roll with the flow thing. So you can imagine how important it is and how much easier it is and how much more profound and how much more truthful it is. If you can get to the point of where your question is so sincere and your question is so spot on to what you actually want out of a tarot reading, what you actually need, what you want the universe to say to you, it's best if you could just leave it to level 1. Because the lower you get on say, what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, but then what does that mean? Okay. It's not that the tarot isn't delivering the message. It's just that the lower you go in that thing, the further away you remove yourself from the profundity of the actual answer. Has that confused you for today? Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. I had another little something planned today, but I was drawn into doing that. So I hope somebody out there needed to hear this. So until tomorrow, which is usually Parking Lot Tuesday, and a sweltering day in the forecast, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other, and for those of you who attend Monday night magic class here in Sacramento, I'll see you tonight. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.